Hey everybody, Married Man here. Just got a 7¼ inch sliding miter saw and from Lowe's, and this is made by Kobalt. We're going to open it up, see what it looks like. Alright, looks like we've got the dust chute and the clamp, and a knob, looks like the whole unit is wrapped in plastic here. At this point, let me thank you for watching the video and thank our subscribers. If you're not subscribed, I would appreciate if you would consider subscribing at this point. Thank you. So when you take it out of the box, the owner's manual is taped to one of the flaps of the box. That's a good place for it. I'll take a look and we'll take the next step. One, you take the handle out of the bag and attach the miter saw handle by screwing it into place. Step two, attach the dust bag. There's a pinch here. If you can see, there's two little handles, and you just pinch those together and fit it over this lip. Face it towards the back. Step three, installing the hold down clamp. And on the left hand or right hand side of the saw, behind the fence, there's a hole on each side. You have to unscrew the lockdown bolt so you can fit this in, and we will loosen this. It slides in and can be locked down in the back, and then we will be able to tighten it whenever we cut a board. Step four is about the blade wrench. It comes already installed in a clamp behind the saw on the right hand side for easy storage. Step five is loosening the slide carriage bolt. On mine, you get the wires out of the way, and you loosen this so that it can then slide once we get that foam out from under there. To raise the cutter head from its original transport position, we're going to push down lightly on the switch handle and pull out the down latch, and then allow the cutting head to rise to an upright position. At that point, you can take this foam out. Step 7 involves removing or inserting the table insert. This table insert comes installed on the unit, but if you needed to remove it or replace it, or if you want to put a zero clearance one in here, there are 6 screws that you can take out and remove this insert. Steps 8, 9, and 10 regard attaching the unit to a tabletop or to a portable small sheet of 3/4 inch plywood to make it portable, using bolts and nuts and washers in the holes already in assembly in the front corners and in the back corners of the unit. To make it portable, you put it on that 3/4 inch sheet of plywood, and then you could mount the plywood wherever you're going using C-clamps. Steps 11, 12, and 13 have to do with changing the blade or tightening the blade. The first step, if you want to remove the blade, is to raise the lower cover, exposing the cover plate, and there's a cover plate screw You want to loosen the cover plate screw until you can raise the cover plate out of the way, revealing the Arbor bolt. At that point on this side of the blade there's an Arbor lock button. You want to use the provided hex wrench and turn clockwise until it locks, and then continue to turn and it will unscrew and loosen the bolt. Turning clockwise to loosen seems unusual for me. Once you take that off, you will be able to remove the nut over the blade and remove the blade and replace it if you need to. To replace it, put the nut back on, use the Arbor bolt in a counterclockwise turn to tighten it. Use your hex wrench, press in on that Arbor lock, keep turning it counterclockwise until it locks, and then turn to tighten. At that point, you can lower the cover plate back into position and tighten the cover plate screw to hold it in position as you work. Then you can lower the lower guard. On this side of the saw you can see that Arbor lock button right here, below the handle near the blade. From the back of the saw you can see the bevel lock handle. You can loosen it to adjust the bevel of the saw. Once you have it where you want it, you can tighten it back up. You can check the square of the blade with a combination square on the table and up against the saw blade and make that adjustment. That's step 14. Step 15 is the bevel indicator adjustment. When the blade is exactly at 90 degrees to the table, you can loosen this and adjust it so that it's directly on the 0. Step 16 is about the 45-degree bevel adjustment. If you loosen the bevel lock handle, the blue handle here, and tilt the cutting head completely to the left, then use a combination square to see if it's exactly 45 degrees. If it's not 45 degrees, then you can loosen the lock nut on the bevel angle adjustment bolt found here and use a 10mm wrench to adjust the bolt depth in or out, increasing or decreasing the bevel angle. Tilt the cutting arm to the left 45-degree bevel and recheck the alignment. 17 is about the miter scale. The sliding compound miter saw scale can be easily read, showing degrees from 0 to 50 to the left, or 0 to 50 degrees to the right. It also comes with 9 of the most common angle settings at positive stops at 0, 15, 22.5, 31.6, and 45 degrees. These positive stops position the blade at the desired angle quickly and accurately. Follow the instructions in the instruction book to make adjustments. Step 18 addresses adjusting the fence squareness. With the arm of the saw locked into position, you can loosen the 4 locking bolts, like this one and this one, on the back of the fence. There's 2 on each side with a hex wrench. Then use a square with the heel of the square against the blade and the ruler against the fence to determine a 90-degree cut. Once you make the adjustments, then you can lock these fence locking bolts back to align your fence. I'm not going to make any adjustments until we make our first cut and see if it needs adjustment. Step 19 is a nice feature of this saw. As you can see right here, there's a lever. Whenever that is up, it allows for full depth. But whenever that is down, you can use this knob to turn to adjust the depth so you can have repetitive shallow cuts. So although you can't use a dado saw on this, you could do repetitive cuts to cut it at the same depth all the way through the cut. Whenever you need full depth, you just flip this up. I like that feature. On the back of the handle, you can see the switch to turn on the laser. Steps 20, 21, and 22 address how to adjust the laser. Notice that there's a hole right here so you can put a padlock in, preventing this from being activated, so you cannot accidentally cut yourself while adjusting the laser sight. I'll put images from the rest of the book towards the end of the video. But for now, let's light this firecracker and see what this thing can do and get our first use out of it. By flipping over one end of the cut board and snugging it up against the cut line, if there's any gap, the cut is not square and the saw needs adjustments. A square up against one end of the board also shows us that result, so we must make adjustments at this point. No gap. Perfect. .90 degrees. The saw had no problem with the 2x6s, but here I was trying a 1x10 and found that the saw would not quite reach the end, and I had to lift the end of the board to get it to cut. This is probably not a recommended method according to the instruction manual, but this is what I did, and it cut everything square. Here you can see that I set up a temporary stop block so all my cuts would be the same length. Well, that's it, our assembly and first use of our miter saw. It works very well. I like it. I've been using it for over a month now, and I've been using it, attaching it to a table. I will put the instructions in an associated video and try to put the link right here. If not, it'll be in the notes, as well as a link to the PDF of the instruction manual as well, so you can go find it there. We're going to need some kind of stand for it, and I was looking at building something kind of nice and extravagant with arms that come up and with roller wheels. But for Christmas, I got a different gift. So you'll want to subscribe so you get, and ring that bell so you get notifications. And I'll show you how to assemble this and see if this saw will attach firmly to this stand. Going to combine Kobalt with rigid. I like this because it can roll away and I have a small space to work with. Thanks for watching. Please consider giving us a like and subscribing to the channel. I hear my wife calling. I gotta go.